On this week's episode of Nosebleed Radio, we kick it off with our favorite number 27s, and we get into the NFL talking points and college football talking points. In the NFL, we have Le'Veon Bell not starting week 1. We dive into the college football with the new AP Top 25, and we pick our big games. We go into our new segment, I Like That Stat, along with wild moves. We wrap up the show with our final thoughts. So without further ado, let's roll the music.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Nosebleed Radio, presented by Paisan's Pizzeria in Omaha. Here's your host, Tucker Franklin.
What's up? Episode 27 of Nosebleed Radio is live. I'm here with the boys, KB, Kieran Brennan.
How's it going?
Shane Miller.
What's up, Rollhawks?
And Toby Todd.
Yo.
We went out of order right there.
Yeah, that fucked with my head.
Yeah, we weren't sitting in the right spots, so I didn't know what order to go with to. We'll go ahead and kick off this episode with our famous number 27s. There's some good ones out there. There's been some good people to wear the number 27. KB, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll go with one of the... He was a really good third baseman. His career was cut... Or he had some instances where he was injured and for prolonged periods of times. But Scott Rowland put together a great career in between the Blue Jays, Cardinals, and Phillies. But he's a guy that I hope gets into the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he has a chance.
Nah, probably not.
What'd you say?
I said no, probably not.
Oh, man, you are literally falling asleep with the mic.
Yeah. Let's do it for the team.
My number 27 is a guy I'm not really that big of a fan of, honestly, but just an outstanding running back, Eddie George. Went to Dum Ohio State, so that's kind of why I don't like him. But I did like that he played for the Oilers. It's kind of a cool team. People don't really think about it very often because they weren't there for very long.
Yeah, people forget about them.
Yeah, people forget about the Oilers. Then he went to play for the Titans when they moved, so he was kind of in that transition team. But, I mean, I like the Oilers, so that's pretty cool. Racked up a lot of hardware, though. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. He won the Heisman in college. Just outstanding running back. But we did find one thing that was cool because I hate Ohio State, so it's cool to watch him blow a game. In his freshman year, they played Illinois. He fumbled on Illinois' 4-yard line, and that was returned for a 96-yard touchdown. And then later in the game, in the fourth quarter, when Ohio State was ahead by 2 points, he fumbled on the Illinois 1-yard line. They recovered it and scored the game-winning drive. So, suck it, Ohio State.
When you said Eddie George, I immediately thought Jeff George. And I was like,
that's a different
he's
person.
Not a running back.
Nope, that's a totally different person.
Yep, not the right person. Rocket arm, though. People forget about him, too.
Yeah.
Toby, what you got?
I just noticed our lists are very similar.
Oh, my goodness, they are.
Yeah, but first I'm going to go Kareem Hunt. Led the NFL in rushing yards last year. You know, probably, maybe snub for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Probably the best rookie in all of football last year. Alvin Kamara did. For the Saints.
I don't know if that's a snub.
Yeah.
Kamara was way good.
Yeah, but did he lead the league in rushing?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing.
Yeah, but, I mean, Kamara was also working in tandem with Mark Ingram. If Kamara was on his own, I think he would have led the league in rushing.
Wait, so why would him working in tandem with not make Kareem Hunt the snub?
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Okay. He had more effect, I guess, but I think
Maybe
Kamara's
snub.
better.
There were a lot of good rookies last year.
Yeah.
And my other number 27, Hall of Fame baseball player, Vladimir Guerrero. It was so cool watching Vlad Guerrero hit the baseball because he would swing at any pitch. There was not a pitch that he didn't like. I remember he golfed one out against the Orioles, literally bounced before it hit his bat, and he golfed it out into left center field. So, pretty dope dude, Vlad Guerrero.
Vlad Guerrero is recently a Hall of Famer, just inducted this year, so that was a cool thing to see.
Easy.
Toby was right. Our lists are very similar. I'm going to go with a former Chiefs running back in Larry Johnson, LJ27. He's a stud. I can remember watching him growing up. That was like the first, well, no, Priest Holmes was really the first Chiefs running back I remember, I think.
Yeah, me too. He
So
was awesome.
he'd probably be like the second one.
Larry
But-
Johnson was all we had for a few years.
In those bad years, yeah, Larry Johnson was the only thing that kept the Chiefs offense afloat, sort of.
What number was Priest Holmes?
31.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But the Chiefs, really, if you think about it, have always had decent running backs. From my memory, if you go Priest Holmes to Larry Johnson to Jamal Charles to Kareem Hunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was Jamal Charles right after Larry Johnson?
Yeah.
Yep.
They
Really?
kind of overlapped a little bit, yeah.
Huh.
I think we had Larry Johnson at the very end of his career and Jamal at the very beginning.
Yep.
So, my other one is a soon-to-be Hall of Fame baseball player, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He also wears number 27, and he's my favorite baseball player.
Minor League Hall of Famer.
We'll move on to our first topic of discussion today. Since we talked about college football last week, we'll start with NFL football this week. There are some big storylines, because it is, as we're recording this, today is the first day of the NFL season.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Did you see that good play that
throw
the
is
Eagles
crazy.
made?
That throw was wild.
Eagles made a good play.
And a double
Falcons?
reverse pass. Who saw that coming? Not this guy.
The defense had a good one.
That one sack was incredible.
Defense wins championships.
Toby is super into this game, considering that these two teams played the Patriots, and like he hasn't sat down the entire time.
Yeah, he just is just yelling at the TV nonstop.
Just standing next to the TV, hands on his hips, saying, "This is good football."
Kind of tapping his toe a little bit, a little toe tap. Overall, good game though.
Yeah,
Overall,
great
it's a great game. But moving on to the games from Sunday, Le'Veon Bell is a big story in the NFL. Le'Veon Bell isn't starting week 1, and I don't know if you guys saw earlier in the week, the Steelers' offensive line, I saw Pouncey, and he said, "It's all good. We know he'll be here.
Yeah.
He'll get here. We'll do our business. We'll take it." And then 2 days later, Maurice Pouncey's like, "All right, he's not here. I don't like him. What is he doing?"
Yeah, he said earlier this week, he said, "He'll be here Wednesday. I can feel it," or something along those lines. And then Wednesday rolled around. He wasn't there, and the offensive line went off.
Yeah, they were not happy at all, which, I mean, I get. I can't remember who tweeted it or who said it, but someone tweeted about, oh my God, this is a bad sentence. Someone reported one of the offensive linemen on Twitter saying that he didn't understand why he's getting or wanting all this money when they do all the work for him anyways. I was like, oh shit, taking shots right at him.
Especially since Le'Veon Bell's running style is so, you see him just waiting behind the offensive line all the time. So I mean, they kind of have a point. I mean, but really, what's a running back without an offensive line?
A very flat man. Is that the correct answer? Or?
Yeah.
No, but I heard some people talking today, like they asked, it was either Mike Tomlin or someone. The reporters were like, "Is Lev Bell here today?" And they said, "No, but is it James Conner?"
Yeah.
No, James Conner is. And like, is Lev Bell working today? James Conner is. Like they have completely shifted to the mindset of like James Conner is the guy who's going to do it for us from this point forward for the foreseeable future until Lev Bell comes back.
So how does this work though with his contract though? So is he still getting paid something because he's signed?
He has the franchise tag, but Kieran told me I don't think he signed the franchise tag.
Oh,
So
so he
technically,
could technically go this whole year without playing.
yeah, but the Steelers still have like the rights to him.
Yeah.
And by him not playing, he forfeits like, what is it, $800,000 a game? Kieran can talk more about it.
Okay, so been watching a lot of TV.
The mothership.
The mothership. I'm not sure if he signed it or not, but one thing I do know is he has to report by week 10, and every game that he misses, he loses $800,000. So his agent has come out and said something along the lines of, "We're not playing this year in order for like next year, or like we're saving ourselves for next season." I heard him say something along those lines, but this doesn't seem like a real great strategy.
Yeah, I just don't see how this is going to help him at all by not playing. Because if he wants out of the team, wouldn't you want like other coaches to see you as a guy who can add something of value to the team? If you're just a good runner, but you're going to cause a lot of drama, and who knows if you're even going to show up to the games, why would any other team want to sign you? You know, there's plenty of other good running backs they can sign.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
think
Like,
that
I feel like he's not marketing himself very well.
he's not really showcasing what he can do
No.
either. And I think that it's kind of he's in a tough situation because I was watching the same program that KB was watching. I don't know if he was in the room at the time, and it was someone I won't mention the name of. He was talking about how the off season is the players' time to get theirs, like
Yeah.
get their money. But as soon as training camp and fall camp and preseason rolls around, that's the team. Like you worry about the team then. And I think that it really hurt Le'Veon Bell. It hurts him because he shows that he's not really a team guy, and I don't know if any teams will really want that.
No, I would want him. But we also have Zeke, so I'll take him.
What do you think, Toby?
I've never thought Le'Veon Bell was a team guy. Le'Veon Bell, the game that I remember most from Le'Veon Bell was the conference championship game against the New England Patriots in 2016. And Le'Veon Bell carried the ball 10 times for 10 yards. And then was walking around on the sideline, still had on all his pads and stuff during the game. Didn't touch the ball the second half, didn't go back out on the field. I've never thought of him as a real team guy. A lot of people like to consider him the best running back in the league. I think that's false. I think even when he played last year, we saw the value of a guy like Todd Gurley. So I've never thought he was the best running back in the league. The Steelers, I gave the stat last week, are actually more proficient on offense without Le'Veon Bell on the field. And the Steelers have more than enough weapons to make up for his absence. So I think that Le'Veon Bell will miss the Steelers more than the Steelers will miss Le'Veon Bell.
With the start of the new season, obviously we like to give our way too early predictions because that's
way too
that's
early.
what we do. You know, that's how the people make their money is say what they think way too early in advance. So we'll go around and do you just want to do you want to do divisional leaders? Who think's going to win the division? Or Super Bowl picks?
I mean,
Let's go Super Bowl. That's more fun.
yeah, I was gonna say Super Bowl. I was gonna say Super Bowl and like MVP.
Yeah,
all right,
bet.
then do it.
You want me to kick it off?
Yeah.
All right. Super Bowl. And I was saying this since the last Super Bowl ended. Patriots and Saints. Yep. Patriots, always there. They always give themselves a chance to go. And because they have the best coach and quarterback, I think they'll probably go from the AFC. From the NFC, I take the Saints. The Saints were one play away from playing in the NFC Championship game last year. They didn't lose any key pieces on defense. In fact, gained one through the draft, Marcus Davenport. And that offense should still be explosive. So I got Patriots Saints in the Super Bowl.
That's not bad.
Mm-mm.
Tuck, what do you think?
I was thinking while you were talking about that, and I don't like hate the Patriots, but I just want to see somebody else from the AFC go.
That's
it's not that I hate them, but just thinking about it, I don't know who that AFC team would be. So I'll go a homer pick, and I'll go Chiefs and Vikings, and
What the fuck?
I'll have the Vikings winning.
Interesting. I'm gonna go with a real pick instead of just a homer pick, but I'm gonna go Rams from the NFC. I think they are stacked offensively and defensively. They have the best defensive line in the NFL, just on paper right now. We don't know how they'll play together yet, I guess, but on paper they have the best in the NFL. And then for the AFC, I think it's hard to bet against the Patriots. I think you have to take the Patriots until they prove otherwise. They're just so good. They're one of those teams you look at. It's like the Warriors. They're like, how does anyone beat this team? Like, because on paper, they don't have the best team. They don't have the best receiving core. They don't have like all around the best linemen or anything. They have good linemen, but not like the best linemen. But just the fact that they have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Gronkowski, you can just fill in the rest of the players with whoever you want, and they'll still get to the Super Bowl. So I have a lot of faith in them. It's hard for me to not pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but I think Rams win.
The NFC is so up in the air.
Yeah.
I know when I was thinking about who
It's
for
exciting.
the NFC, I went back and forth between the Rams and the Vikings
Well,
because
I think a
That's
lot
just-
of us would agree that there's 7 NFC teams that could potentially win the conference as a whole. 7 legitimate candidates.
yeah. KB, what do you think?
I'm just thinking about Shane picking the Rams and how much I hate the Rams, and I never want any success for that franchise ever again. And so I think the Vikings will make it. I think that's a pretty salty ball club up there in Minnesota. So Vikings versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Now time for my real pick. Colts Giants Super Bowl. Colts win by 21, 42-21. Saquon Barkley asks for a trade to the Colts after the game. Pulls the tarantula.
Did you want to do MVP as well, Jobs? Of the league, not of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, because there's a lot of guys that could win the MVP this year. And, 53 guys on each team could win it.
Very true.
But for this year's MVP award, I actually think it's going to be not a quarterback this year. It's been a long history of it being a quarterback. But if the Rams do as well as I think both me and Shane think they'll do, I think Todd Gurley's a guy who can get a lot of MVP consideration. I believe he was second in voting last year, second or third. It was him and Wentz, 2 and 3 behind Brady. But Todd Gurley, sleeper, dark horse pick. I think a running back will win the Heisman. I think a running back will win NFL MVP this year.
Interesting. I was also going to go with a Ram, but I was going to go with the other guy on the offense, Jared Goff. I think he's going to have a breakout season this year. I think he's going to be way good. He's got one of those quarterbacks when we talk about, the high draft pick who comes out and learns the system well. Doesn't have a lot of assists his first year, but eventually gets up to being a really good MVP candidate. I think he's still on the up and up. I think he's still improving his game every year. And I expect to have a really good season this year. Another pick, though, also from the NFC, Alvin Kamara. I think he could have another really good season, especially with Mark Ingram out for the first, 4 games?
Mm-hmm.
First 4 games, he's going to get a lot of touches in those first 4 games. So expect a lot of big things from Alvin Kamara.
Here we go. Here's a good prediction right here. No, I'm not gonna say Pat Mahomes. But I thought about it. I'm gonna go with Kirk Cousins. He's in a new place at the Minnesota Vikings. Had a good team around him. Has Stephon Diggs. He's getting back that running back that tore his ACL. I can't think of it. Dalvin Cook. And he's got a lot of offensive weapons. That team has the potential to be really good, and they have the potential to be really good behind or led by Kirk Cousins. Underrated quarterback, in my opinion.
Probably appropriately paid if you believe he's underrated. He got a lot of money this year.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
It pays to play the quarterback position because a lot of quarterbacks got a lot of money.
Well, fuck yeah.
Just ask Brent Musburger. If you're an Alabama youngster, get out and start throwing the football.
Hey, they're headed their way to Raider Nation. Did you see that?
I did.
On their way to Raider Nation, baby. Oh,
Yeah.
man, Tuck might be a Raiders fan now.
I think Musburger was tipping off old Gruden when they were working at ESPN together. He said, "You got to get this guy."
Topping off.
What are you guys talking about?
A.J. McCarron, Catherine Webb.
I had no idea. I was so confused. I was lost. I was looking around trying to figure out what was going on. Right.
Okay.
Do you have an MVP?
MVPs. So there's 32 teams in the league. Yeah, Todd Gurley's good, I guess. I don't like Jared Goff at all. Never have, never will. You can't. Nothing you can say can convince me to like Jared Goff. Not a single thing. Tavon Austin's pretty good. Yeah.
This segment is called Kieran Didn't Think of an MVP Candidate and is stalling.
Well,
Kieran
fine.
just
I'll
naming
just
all
go
the
with
random
it.
players.
Bold prediction, Andrew Luck. He's going to win all of the offensive awards this year. Offensive Player of the Year, MVP, Comeback Player of the Year. He'll win Super Bowl MVP. Hell, making all those tackles, he might even win Defensive Player of the Year. Andrew Luck for president.
Here's a good question. What MVP is more likely, mine or Kieran's?
Definitely Tucker's.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kieran's MVP might lead the league in interceptions, so he could be the interceptions MVP.
I honestly just tried to pick out the most obscure quarterback I could think of.
See, I think you guys are hating on the gunslinger too much. He throws the ball around. This team went 4-12 last year. He has the ability to expedite the rebuild process, shoot him up in the air, because you forget that his first year, this Colts team was bad when they drafted him. And a year or two later, they went 11-5. So you guys are sleeping on him too much. You guys are sleeping on my boy. I won't have it.
I only sleep on beds.
I think you're forgetting he doesn't have a shoulder this year.
I think Andrew Luck will be fine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm more or less just saying this to piss off Kieran.
I don't know.
That's fair. We'll move on to some college football. Lots of things happened. I made some pretty bad predictions by saying two teams were the better football team. Then I absolutely got outclassed.
Spanked.
Yeah, Florida State got absolutely walloped by Virginia Tech. Yeah, and LSU really impressed me.
Go Tigers.
I did not expect that from that team, to be honest with you.
Dude, I didn't either, honestly. When I predicted LSU was going to win, that was more of just kind of a heart pick than a head pick, and they kind of came through. So you could say I've got a heart on for them.
Let's go, boom. Let's go, boom.
Yeah, and LSU and Florida State both jumped tremendously in the rankings. I think LSU was up to
See, LSU and Florida State?
Oh, Virginia Tech.
Virginia
Yeah,
Tech,
Florida
probably,
State dropped out completely, I'm pretty sure.
I hope so.
But yeah, LSU, I think, went up to number 11 in the country after their win. Miami dropped all the way down to 22.
They got mollywopped.
Yeah, they did. That was pretty embarrassing. I was super excited about that game,
Yeah, I was too. I hate Miami. So, Toby, what do you think about Harbaugh while we're talking about college football? As a Michigan fan, would you consider him on the hot seat, even though their president said he's not on the hot seat?
He's not on the hot seat. Because what better coach? What better coach are we gonna find?
I agree with that.
There's not a better coach just sitting around out there. You see, the Raiders got John Gruden, and everybody was excited about it. You can see how much turmoil he's brought to the team already.
You don't want to do this the Nebraska way and just fire a coach after 3 years, though?
No, because the Nebraska ways proved to not work. So I'd rather not. I'd rather just stick with Harbaugh. Honestly, there's a lot of talk about he doesn't beat the big teams.
That's what I was gonna say. If you lose the Ohio State game this year again, what do you think the conversation about Harbaugh is?
The conversation's always been you have to beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
If you're a Michigan fan or a player at Michigan, you know that's the big game every year. You're expected to beat every other opponent, and you're not expected to lose all the time to Ohio State. But along the way, there's been a lot of really bad luck for Harbaugh involved in some of those games against Michigan State, against Ohio State. A lot of plays on Saturday, we beat ourselves more so than Notre Dame did. So there's a lot that needs to change, obviously, from that first week. But it's 1 week into the season. We played a team that's now number 7 in the country. I'm not concerned with losing by 7 on the road in a tough environment. We're going to get better as the season goes along. And, if we get a few wins over those big-time teams, the narrative will completely shift on Harbaugh. So
here's what I think. I don't think that Michigan will tell you John Harbaugh is ever on the hot seat. I think that they're going to keep that to themselves, and then you won't know he's on the hot seat until he's fired.
I don't think they'll ever tell you that John Harbaugh is on the hot seat because he doesn't work there.
I meant Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, I figured.
Whatever.
Well, there was that talk a couple years ago about them just giving him a lifetime contract because they never wanted him to work anywhere else. They were going to give him this contract, and if football coaching didn't work out, they were just going to try to move him to somewhere else in the organization. But back to Toby's point about you have to beat Ohio State. That's just what we see in these big conferences at these big schools. Because Les Miles, he was fired, and he had a record of 114-34 at LSU, but they didn't beat Alabama, and you have to do that when you're the head coach at LSU. And so, like, they kicked him for Ed Orgeron, even though Les Miles is, looking at this, maybe one of the best coaches in football.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think in LSU's case too, I think there was a lot more turmoil going on within the program because there was a lot of they're one of those teams that gets the 5-star recruits every year. They're always like top 5 recruiting, and they had I think a few 8-5 seasons when Miles was let go. Seasons like Michigan had last year, where it was just abysmal. Like the play was just abysmal. The offense couldn't get anything done, and he strung a few of those together, and they'll let you go because of that. If Michigan goes 8-5 again this year, like they did last year, and you had Shea Patterson as quarterback, and you had all these like offensive weapons in place, then it'll be time to start questioning Jim Harbaugh. But no, a week 1 loss at South Bend. No, I'm not a reason to put him on the hot seat now.
Who do you guys play this week?
Western Michigan.
Oh, so you should win.
So a real big step up.
Yeah.
So if you lose to Western Michigan, you're on the hot seat.
If we lose to Western Michigan, yeah. I mean, at that point, the season's basically over.
Yeah. There's really no
But-
coming back from that.
No, there's really not. But no, they'll get it righted. Jim Harbaugh's track record is really impressive. Like if you look at everywhere he's gone,
Yeah.
he's gone to some really like
Well, he went
Inherited-
to Stanford. They were nothing.
he's inherited
Yeah.
some shit situations.
Yeah.
And Stanford is probably the best example. It was a 1-win Stanford team. He ended up bringing them into prominence.
Even
Recruited a guy
Michigan.
like Michigan. We were way worse off than we are now
Yeah.
when we got Harbaugh. And
That's another example of what Andrew Luck can do for an organization.
yeah, well, Jim Harbaugh made Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was nothing
He
before
goes,
Harbaugh.
goes
and-
to Stanford, a bad team, makes him a contender. You guys are sleeping on him.
no,
sleeping
because
on
Jim
him.
Harbaugh did the same thing with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, and Colin Kaepernick. You guys are sleeping on him too.
How long
Alex
did it take
Smith, I
Harbaugh to
think it
turn
was.
around Stanford?
Stanford, like 2 years.
Was
I
it-
think?
Yeah,
I don't know. I
believe it was 2
don't know
years.
this answer, but I was just wondering.
it was. Yeah,
It's
it was,
what's his return rate? Like, what is like? How long does it take him to flip these teams around?
I think it's individualized for every team. I don't think you can just say like, oh, if he hasn't done it in 2 years, he'll never do it.
Well, right, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just going to see like the average like that he does it in. I'm not saying that that's like what he has to do.
He was only coach at Stanford from 7 to 10, so like not very long, and he did it pretty quickly. Like
Yeah.
if he inherited a bad Stanford team, he was only there for a couple years.
in 2006, Stanford went 1-11 under their first year. Their first year under Harbaugh, 4-8. Next year, 5-7. By the fourth year, they were 12-1, and played in the Orange Bowl.
See, that's Jim Harbaugh usually finishes really quickly, and I think that's what
Like Rick
Stanford
Pitino.
liked. Yeah, I think that's what Stanford liked about him is that he got the job done really fast there. I think Michigan's upset because he hasn't finished all over them yet.
He hasn't. He just hasn't came. It just hasn't.
That wasn't
came
even
to the
like a good
climax.
analogy that I made. I just wanted to see if we could.
It's college football season kicked off last weekend, so you know what that means. We'll be doing our quick picks here with the guys. We got 3 big games we're going to predict here: Georgia, South Carolina, Clemson at A&M, and USC at Stanford. Week 2, not a very how do you call it? Big week.
Como se dice, big week.
Yeah, so they have those week 1 games. I know Toby and I have talked about this. These week 1 games are really designed to get you back in the mood for football, and it's like a hook. They hook you in, and then once you're in, you're just like, oh, I've got to watch Michigan play Western Michigan. I've got to watch
The hook
You know,
brings you back.
I gotta
ain't
watch-
telling you no lie.
Virginia Tech play William Mary's. I gotta watch all these schools play scrubs. So these are the only 3 big
I-
games that I found.
I thought you were going to say, I got to watch these schools play other schools. And I was like, that's college football, Tucker.
Very well versed in the college football.
What's cool though about week 2 is that now every team knows kind of like the baseline, like where they stood after week 1,
Mm-hmm.
and so now like it'll be some of those big schools against small
Not every
schools.
team.
Oh, not every team. Yeah,
Nebraska and Iowa State got canceled.
yeah. Well, okay, the teams that matter know their baseline.
Hey.
Okay, my bad. Uh,
So actually,
Oh,
Nebraska
that's-
has no
hey,
idea
that's
how
a-
good they are
That's actually
or bad they are.
yeah, that's actually a pretty big game this weekend too. Given the massive rivalry had between Nebraska and Colorado.
The huge rivalry had between Nebraska and Colorado. The huge
So-
rivalry between
so,
Colorado and Nebraska.
So Shane, today at lunch, you told me that they canceled the game because they couldn't find housing for them. Today I heard that they canceled the game because Nebraska's like, well, you can stay on campus, and then we'll give you guys breakfast too. And Akron said no.
Yeah, because there's no point in them playing that game. If you're Akron, you still get all the money for not playing, and you're going away injury free and without a loss. So I mean, there's no point for Akron to stay if they don't have to.
And they probably heard bad things about the Union breakfast.
That's a good
I've
point,
not
Toby.
heard good things about Nebraska's food.
Let's
Really
sneak
bad.
in there and go get some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's sneak in there and then say one good thing about it. So Shane will have heard
One
one
good
good
thing. So we'll start with picks. Georgia, South Carolina, an SEC matchup. We'll start with KB. But this matchup is an okay one. It's the best you're going to get this week.
I picked Georgia because they're the better football team, in my opinion.
Easy.
My opinion is wrong a lot.
Easy. You know what happened last week when I said that?
Georgia.
I'm going the same, but for opposite reasons. I'm going Georgia because I think South Carolina is the worst football team. I don't think they're that good. I think they're a tad overrated.
I don't agree with that.
That's
Toby,
why
what do you
I
got?
said they're overrated.
South Carolina is underrated, and this is going to be a competitive game that Georgia wins.
I think it's only a one-score game. I think South Carolina is better than a lot of people think. But
Really good receivers.
They've got good receivers, and I think South Carolina is one of those teams that Mizzou, during their little 4-game stretch that they have, where they face Purdue, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, that they have to beat South Carolina. And South Carolina is shaping to be a pretty tough matchup
In South Carolina.
in South Carolina.
Yeesh.
Yeah,
Cox.
Toby just wanted to say Cox. The next pick. And
Cox are hard to beat on.
Now, I honestly don't know, because A&M's not ranked.
No, they're not.
So this is I think this is the game they're going for College Game Day, and yeah, go.
Yeah.
But if any coach knows how to beat Clemson, it's Jimbo Fisher,
That's
who now
true.
is at A&M.
So A&M. So A&M and Clemson. So we don't want to start. Who do you think will win this football game?
You said, Toby, do you want to start?
Oh, you want me to start? Okay, bet. Yep. Clemson Tigers. My national championship prediction as well. Clemson Tigers.
All right, KB,
I concur.
Shane.
I'm gonna go upset here. I feel like one of us has to take Texas A&M. Otherwise, this isn't interesting to listen to. So I'll be Lee Corso here and take Texas A&M. Put the whatever hat they have on.
Cowboy hat.
It's an Aggie hat.
Is it? What's it?
Are
it's an Aggie
Aggies
hat.
Cowboys? Aggies
Eh,
or Cowboys?
Agricultural
Aggies are
guys.
agricultural guys. They're farmers.
I know, but did
You
you
live
see
on a
New
ranch?
Mexico State?
I do. I don't live on a farm though.
New
No.
Mexico State's logo is literally a cowboy.
Yeah, but that's not Texas A&M.
I know, but they're both Aggies.
They have
There's
horses in
multiple
their
Aggies,
car
though.
just like
There
a
could be different
farmer.
Aggies. Gig 'em. I'll say gig 'em. That'll be my head.
All right, there we go.
Your head just says gig 'em. I'm gonna pick A&M to divide the house, and I like the SEC. And I learned after week 1 not to pick against the SEC because they're the best conference in football.
False.
Tennessee got slaughtered.
Okay, I'm sorry, that was the only team to lose in the SEC.
Yeah, Big 12 superior.
Alabama had a real hard game. I don't have a mic to yell.
Why do you think I had Kieran take the microphone from you?
Oh, this is actually the good game next.
All right. Oh, KB. Okay, yeah. You said Clemson. I forgot. You just said you concurred. Next game. Pac-12 matchup. USC Stanford. This is probably. I don't know. This is probably going to be the best Pac-12 game of the whole entire season.
Wow. You're forgetting most games
Stanford,
Washington play.
I don't like Washington.
Hey,
I just like the president of Washington. President of Washington I like.
who that is?
George Washington.
Oh, I thought you said the president at Washington.
Oh. All right, Tobes. Who you got? I don't even care about the Pac-12. Go, Toby.
USC.
Tuck is super pumped about this segment.
Pac-12 sucks.
I'm taking USC also. I have a long-standing opinion that Stanford's overrated every year. I hate them. I hate everything they stand for. I hate the trees. Cut them down.
Oh, wow. KB?
I've had a long-standing opinion that I like Stanford a lot. They're a cool school. I like them a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick them to win the football match.
I'm going to pick USC because they had Reggie Bush, and I like Reggie Bush.
I also think Colorado will beat Nebraska, but that's for another subject.
That's your saying.
You can tell we did a lot of research into the game based on our reasons of why we're picking.
No, I
these
care about those other two games, but I just don't care about the Pac-12.
USC had Reggie Bush 15 years ago. I don't know. They'll
No
probably
way,
be
that was
all right.
15 years ago.
I don't know. When was it?
Oh, okay.
2004, 2005.
So yeah, it was almost 15 years ago.
Oh my gosh. We'll move on to our segments. We'll first start off with our segment. I like that stat. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go first because mine's not really sports related, but I thought this was interesting.
Okay.
50 Cent, the rapper, 50 Cent,
Mm-hmm.
was born in 1975. So if you account for inflation, he is now $2.34.
Really? Inflation has gone up that much?
Yeah, it is. So I like that stat.
Inflation's a bitch. I like that stat, though. KB?
My stat is about Tucker's favorite player in the entire world, Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani has batted in just 82 games. That's an entire basketball season. Spent a month on the disabled list and has pitched in 10 games to boot and has still hit more home runs than anyone on the Giants.
Ooh, I like that stat, actually. Ooh, I also saw another stat about Shohei Ohtani, that he's the only player to have a 4-3-2-1 game twice in a season.
Really?
It's like 4 hits, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs,
And a stolen base.
and a stolen base.
Wow, that's wild.
That's pretty. I like that stat.
And he's doing it all with like one elbow.
Yeah,
So if you think Andrew Luck can't win MVP missing a shoulder, you're wrong.
that's true. I like that stat. I like that stat. Toby, what stat do you like?
So this Saturday, the bitches from East Lansing, Michigan, also known as the Michigan State Spartans, will travel to Tempe, Arizona to play the Arizona State Sun Devils, where Arizona State has never lost to a Big Ten team. 7-0. Just whooping the Big Ten teams. So there's a stat for you. Hopefully,
I like that stat.
Hopefully, Herm can continue
You know
this
who beat
weekend.
Arizona State at Arizona twice?
Oh my gosh.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Just throwing that
Oh
out
yeah.
there.
Wow. Comment from
like
Shane
that
about
stat.
Nebraska.
You guys have brought
Wild
them more
move.
than I have tonight. You
Wild
guys-
move.
Wild move. You've brought them up more
Wild
than I have
move.
tonight.
Yeah, because Colorado's gonna win.
You all three of you brought them up more than I have.
What did I bring up? What did I bring up? Nebraska?
Shane doesn't like Arizona State because they beat Nebraska 2 times in the 30s. So he's really, he really hates Arizona State.
He really hates him.
I actually like Arizona State.
Not a real Cornhusker fan then. Well,
You like that stat?
my stat that I really like is Kansas football has 24 fewer regular season Big 12 wins than Mizzou at 39, despite Mizzou's exit after 2011. At current head coach Beatty, what's his name? What's his first name?
David Beatty.
David? Oh, I thought it was Frank. Good thing you said David. At David Beatty's established pace, Kansas would pass Mizzou in Big 12 wins sometime around the year 2090. So that's not even a real year.
No, we'll be dead by then. That year doesn't even count.
I
So
don't even.
think about it this way:
I-
you will probably never see Kansas surpass Mizzou in Big 12 wins.
That's pretty sweet.
That
That's good. I like
That
that
means-
stat.
that's probably like Nebraska's is like the year 3000.
Not much has changed, but they live underwater.
Hey.
Nice. Nice guys. Teamwork.
Hey, thanks.
Another time I didn't bring up Nebraska though. One of you guys did.
No, that's totally. I did not talk about
I
Nebraska.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Nebraska has more Big 12 wins than Mizzou.
Yeah.
Not to diss on
We have-
Mizzou.
We have 5
Probably.
national championships.
Oh my gosh.
So we'd have to win more regular season games.
Well,
to
no,
get there.
because that was Big 8 era. But Big 12 era, when they
The
started
Big
up,
8 turned into Big 12 though.
but they only count Big 12 wins. That's why
Okay.
Mizzou only has
Mhm.
39 on
We'd
here.
still have more national championships, so it's all right.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering about Big 12 wins, but I
I'm
guess
just
we'll-
getting. Well, we'd have to win more Big 12 games to get to the national championship. That's how it would work. I'm just watching Tucker's blood pressure rise.
He already has a bad one.
Yeah,
I
Knock it
know.
off.
you guys are gonna kill me. You're literally going to kill me. Go right into our next segment, Wild Moves. Who wants to start off Wild Moves? Fine, I'll start off Wild Moves. My wild move is that Tiger Woods shot a 62 today and is tied for the lead at the BMW Championship. That is a wild move. I believe on the front nine, he shot a 29, which is pretty insane.
Considering there are 18 holes on the.
Yeah, one time I shot a 29 and then I went to hole number 2. Golf jokes. All right. Who has another wild move?
I also have a wild move. What do you
Okay.
know? But the Baltimore Orioles, otherwise known as the Boreals, I made that up right now. It's pretty good. Are having I'll go ahead and say, I'll say lackluster. Without luster. No bueno. They're having a bad season. They were the first ones to get mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, so they're probably not going to make it to the playoffs this year. They just came out with uniforms that are Braille on the front. They say Orioles in Braille, which is a nice sentiment. But
Do they say Orioles in Braille or do they have Orioles in Braille writing? Like, do the
They-
jerseys
they
say
don't
Orioles
have-
in Braille?
they don't have written Orioles in Braille writing. They have Orioles written in the Braille letters.
Okay, I'm picking it up now.
Finally, we have an answer to all those blind people trying to grope baseball players. They can figure out what team they're on.
Yeah, so this is a real nice sentiment, except, not really. On paper, this is a good idea. But, the people that it's out there is like having a concert for the deaf.
Ooh,
Do you think we can buy these Braille jerseys? Because I kind of want one.
probably. You could probably auction
You
them.
can buy anything you want. There's a market.
You could buy a flamethrower, but you have to search not a flamethrower.
You have to, if you Google not a flamethrower, first thing that pops up is a flamethrower.
Is a flamethrower. Yeah. Tobes, what is your wild move for this week?
Yeah, my wild move is about this entire high school football team that is so bad that they've decided to call it quits after just 2 games. I don't know if they're disbanding the entire football program at this high school or if they're just taking the season off, deciding not to participate.
I
But
think it's just
they-
the season. That's what I read.
They lost their first 2 games by a combined 102 points. So they obviously started 0-2. And they said that's enough football for us this year. And they decided we're going to pack it up and probably play slow pitch softball or something.
Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin.
I came to win. Bet on me. That's a sin.
They didn't come to win shit.
Shane, what is your wild move?
My wild move is kind of like a lighter note thing, but Pete Carroll just came out and said that rookie Shaquem Griffin has been named a starter for the Seahawks.
That's
So,
actually dope.
if you don't remember, Shaquem Griffin was the guy from UCF who's a linebacker with one hand who ran like a 4.38 40 at the combine. Probably the most inspirational story ever. And now he's going to play alongside his brother on the Seahawks defense. But Kieran brought up a good point. Is this more or less Shaquem Griffin is really good, or the rest of the Seahawks defense is really bad?
No, I actually think Shaquem Griffin is really good.
I think he is too.
I think he's really good.
Seahawks defense is also not. As
That's
it used to
true,
be.
but I don't think that you can totally blame this on Shaquem Griffin that his rest of receivers so bad that he's
No,
playing.
you can't.
I think that he would have started either way.
Right. Shaquem Griffin made Scott Frost.
Right, exactly. He was made there
Put him on the map.
at UCF.
You're just salty because he doesn't have any national championships.
Baseball.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a different story. You get mad at Kansas fans for changing the argument from football to basketball all the time. Yet anytime I bring up national championships, you bring up baseball.
Okay, we don't. I don't know. We don't have any football national championships.
Yeah,
we don't.
No, you
But are
don't.
we going to talk about how good Kansas basketball is?
That was mine.
and that's Shane's 2 cents. Let's move on to final thoughts. Wrap up the show. Toby, what's your final thought?
Well, you should probably honestly be doing the talking about this, but our fantasy football draft.
Now you got it. I got something else.
Well, my take on the fantasy football draft was just that I had the best draft. Kieran might have had the not best draft.
Kieran drafted all Indianapolis Colts players and Julian Edelman. Just FYI, who is suspended for the first 4 games.
He only needs him for week 9.
Colts bye week is week 9. Okay, I'm going. I told you guys, if you listened to last week's podcast, I know you did. I'm going with the strategy of handcuffing, but using it for an entire team. I did it last year. Didn't go well in a sense. But, a good scientist like myself, you got to try experiments multiple times to get accurate results. So I'm just trying this experiment one more time, make sure my results were accurate.
But the best scientist said to try the same thing over and over and expect different results is the definition of insanity. And that was from the best scientist, so...
Jesus?
Yeah, last year I drafted all Colts and Mike Evans. This year, it's all Colts and Julian Edelman.
He's not doing the same thing.
I changed it a little bit. So, boom, roasted.
Yeah, Shane, you can go.
Am I next? I didn't know who was going
No,
next.
you
I was
can
just
go. I
looking
don't
for
really care.
Directions. So as you know, the past few weeks I've been doing this day in history. So in this day in history, September 7th, 1908, Paul Brown, the NFL Hall of Fame coach who started the Cleveland Browns, their namesake was born in, Norwalk, Ohio. So, like I said, he started the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if he started it. He definitely made them famous, though, because they're named after him. So, I think if you look back now on the team he created and all the history, I think you would regret it.
That's not the team that he made, though. The team he made is actually in
The Bengals.
Baltimore.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, true, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Machine Gun Kelly made the Browns.
yeah.
Yeah, the Browns.
You know he
now.
coached for the Bengals, though, also?
Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah, that's
No,
why people
Paul
were
Brown.
like, oh, that's not very cool. You shouldn't really do that because it's like across town.
Oh, yeah. Paul Brown is
State.
actually the name of the Bengal Stadium.
Yeah.
Paul Brown
Mhm.
Stadium.
Kibby, what's your final thought?
My final thought is I don't know if I'll ever go on a plane. Not because they're like in the air and dangerous and stuff, but because of the stories you hear similar to this one, which is American Airlines asked passengers to pee in bags and bottles because the toilet was clogged, and that happens in the air. So, like, when our toilet's clogged, I want to get out of the house. But you can't get out of a plane without people thinking you're a psycho and Michael Rappaport tackling you.
Our
Why don't they just pee out the window?
Jetstream. Our
Yeah, I probably would have.
are you scared of flying? Is that why you don't think you're on a plane?
No, like, I think I'd want to fly.
Oh.
I even think I want to jump out of a plane at some point.
Oh,
But, like, I don't like feeling confined. I don't like I don't like the commitment to being on a plane. I don't. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I flew overseas one time, and that is a big commitment that you're talking about.
It's
You don't
13
even feel
hours.
Like I was there on
At
the plane
least.
for 9 hours. You sit down, and I'm like, oh my god, I have 9 more hours of this. This is ridiculous.
I flew to
What
from
about the
Kansas
rest of the
City
alphabet?
to
Overseas. What about the rest of the alphabet? All right, tune in next week. Nosebleed.
I flew from Kansas City to Chicago to Pittsburgh one time, and those were only an hour and a half flights each, and they were still pretty like, all right, I'm ready to get out of here.
You know what I don't understand about flying? Also, like, I mean, a lot of it, but like, whenever they're like, say you're flying from like Indianapolis to New York, and you like fly from Indianapolis to Chicago to New York, like, why
Yeah.
not just fly straight? Like, why? You're going backwards to go forwards, you mutt.
Probably politics.
It's something to do with the airports, because like I flew from Omaha to Dallas to go to Spain, which is backwards. And I guess it's like their international airports in Dallas and something. It's cheaper for gas somehow. I'm not a math magician. I don't know how it works, but something like that.
What way, if you flew to Spain, would be quicker? If you went like California over the Pacific Ocean?
The other way.
Oh yeah, Spain's actually on that side.
Yeah.
So wait, if you went to New York, like if you're flying out of New York, say you're flying out of LaGuardia, would you fly all the way across America? Say you're going to like Japan to get to Japan.
I think it depends on which way the Earth is spinning, because sometimes
Oh my
if you're
gosh.
just up in the air, the Earth will spin. Like if you're up in the air for long enough, if you were in like St. Louis and you just flew the plane straight up into the air and then straight down, I bet you'd land in Los Angeles. You know, just like, boop, boop, you know, like
How do they account for that?
So this is actually interesting. So I can't remember who I was talking to, but they flew to Australia? No, they flew to Japan. It was to Japan. But instead of going like all the way around the world, they went over.
What the?
So they went from New York or somewhere up north and went over the North Pole and over instead of going like around, because the Earth, the Earth is a circle. Well,
Supposedly.
the Earth is a circle, right?
Supposedly.
I didn't.
Allegedly.
But yeah, they went over the top to
Hmm.
get there instead of going around. It was faster.
That's
Blew my mind.
well. Kieran brought up a good point that I had honestly never thought
Yeah,
about. Is the Earth spins? So like how?
the craziest thing about flying is you got to fly to where the place is gonna be, not where it's at.
Stop
Like
that.
when you take off,
Stop
you got to
that.
go to where. Yes, I know you're shaking your head, but that is true,
How-
because the Earth is spinning. You got to go to
How
where it's gonna
fast-
be.
How fast do you guys think the Earth is spinning?
At least 23 miles an hour.
No, let me Google it.
Like,
It's
No,
23
but, like,
miles an hour.
you're not going to like, but it's not going to like change.
1,000 miles an hour. Just Googled it.
At least 23. What did I tell you? What do you say? 1,000 miles an hour? That's pretty quick. So wait. So how fast do planes fly?
500.
Knots?
So it would be quicker. Technically, it would be quicker since it's going double the speed you are.
Right,
If
he's
you
right.
just like if you were in North Carolina and you wanted to go, you just fly backwards, and then your place will get to you double the speed.
No, the logic is there. It's sound logic. I see it. I think it's true. I don't.
If it's going faster, you're gonna take the fastest way.
We're cracking a case. Big airlines don't want you to know this because it's more expensive to buy a
You
ticket
actually
to go
don't
the
fly
long way
anywhere.
instead they go on a shorter flight
I'm
and just
convinced-
let the Earth catch up to you.
I'm convinced that planes don't actually go anywhere.
If you just fly up into the air, the Earth will get to you.
That's what I'm saying. Planes just
It's
go
like-
up in the air and they like park. They just like park. It's like a big huge parking lot in the
I
air.
don't remember a lot from when I was in Cub Scouts, but the one thing I do remember is if you're lost, stay where you are because they'll come to you. If
Yes!
you're on an airplane, just fly right up. Everything will come to you.
This actually is interesting because have you ever seen the wings flap?
No, I haven't. I think this is like one of those cold cases, those cold files. We just cracked it.
Yep. Yeah.
It's cold. It was a cold. It was a cold case.
Cracked it. Code. Cracked it. Cracked it.
You don't crack a case, Jim. You solve them. Well, that was a good way. That was a good conversation.
We did the same thing last week on My Final Thought when we talked about paint.
Yeah.
You bring up Kieran brings up super interesting final thoughts.
So I guess we'll move on to my final thought. My final thought's not going to be near as interesting as that
No,
one.
let's debate.
My final thought is we will now be doing 2 episodes of Nosebleed Radio, one airing on Tuesday and one airing at the normal time on Friday. Hopefully we can get more conversation into this. Have a couple different episodes with October coming up. It's a busy time, busy month. We'll have football, hockey, all of our favorite sports. Basketball will start up, NBA will, and
World Series.
World Series, playoff baseball. It's a real exciting time. So hopefully with these 2 shows we can try to cover everything in sports. Haven't done a great job with the other podcasts that we have, but hopefully that we will cover all of our bases in the 2
Figure it out.
episodes of these. What are you thinking?
Back on the planes. If we're only going half the speed. Like, if planes go 500 and the Earth goes 1,000, how do we get anywhere?
Is it confirmed that planes fly 500 miles an hour? Is that confirmed?
I've seen your average airline will fly 500. Yeah, I've seen like people put on Snapchats and we can put the miles per hour you're moving. And it's 500. So based off Snapchat.
That's a pretty reliable source. Yeah. So wow, how do they actually fly anywhere?
And like, okay, so does it depend on how to fly a plane, depending on how fast the plane is? Because like there are military jets that go hella fast,
like the stealth bombers.
Stealth bombers, they goes like 2,000 miles an hour. So do they
go 2,000 miles an hour?
No,
they would have to if they want to go anywhere.
No, yeah, but because the Earth spins faster than the plane goes, you got to go to where it's gonna be because it's gonna be there before you are.
Dude, I'm all in on this theory.
And because if you flew faster than the Earth spun, you have to go to where the Earth already was.
Tucker is now Googling how do planes work, trying to figure this out. If anyone knows how planes work, let us know.
Please, if there's a pilot out there, I need to talk to you. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Nosebleeds No. Yeah. I've done this so many times you think I'd just be able to rattle it off by now, but I can't. Follow us on Twitter at Nosebleeds No. Like us on Facebook, Nosebleed Knowledge. We'll be back on Tuesday with an episode of Nosebleed Radio recap this next week of NFL and the college football season. On Friday, hopefully we will have a little bit more MLB talk with playoffs coming up, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys on the flip. See ya.